I'm fangirling. Oh God, Jesus is so awesome. Okay. So you gentlemen came onto the scene as a unit in 2012, but you were doing music individually prior, correct?
Yes.
So how did you two actually link up?
You want to take that one?
Yeah, well, I was like just coming out of school, really wanting to get into music and that. And I thought I was just I was kind of a bedroom producer. That's what I like to call myself.
I'm a car producer.
Any room counts. That's how I see it. So, and then I was just like trying to find a way to kind of get into the industry and that. And it was luckily my brother knew. I think it was our friend Rob.
Yeah, we had a mutual friend, and he was friends with Hayden's brother.
Yeah.
So we basically just connected through that. His brother said, my kid brother produces, and then we met at the studio, and then we just started vibing, and then we did some stuff then, and then about, I don't know, a couple of years later we started Under Noise.
But prior to that I was taken on as kind of like a runner, doing all the boring jobs, like getting all the mini discs onto the computer and that. I learned that's how I kind of learned everything.
Exactly.
And the biggest thing I always found hard was arranging a song. I could come up with ideas, but I could never.
So the
arrange
actual
a song.
articulation of it was a little bit more
difficult. So I'd go
difficult.
to the studio and I'd play this idea to him, and it'd just be like 10 minutes of a beat, and he'd be like, "Where's the chorus? Where's the verse?" I was like, "I don't know.
I'm working on it."
Yeah, it's coming.
So you obviously have some self-taught, obstacles in there as well.
Yeah.
But when was the moment that you realized, oh shit, I've got something? Like I've actually can do something with this.
As Under Noise or before that?
Before, because your history is a little bit different from your individual, and of course that's going to coincide and make some very cohesive moments. So.
I don't know really. It's a tough one. Like I guess like when you just get that initial appreciation for a record, and when you deliver something and someone wants to cut the track, then you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then obviously your confidence gains as you get more of those. And as people want your songs, then you just like, okay, I can do this. And
yes.
You can quit your job and do it full time. And when you can do that, then you're living. Anyone that can stay alive in the music industry is doing something good, because it's a tough
industry.
So
dear God.
If you can get ahead and make a career out of it, then good luck to you.
It's just because you get so used to hearing no's with everything.
Yes.
When you do hear a yes, you're like, nah, this is not. Even when you get a yes, you still don't believe it, and sometimes you can't believe it because it don't happen. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't believe a song's cut until it's out on iTunes. That's the way I look at a song.
That's a good way to look at it.
I never get my
anything
hopes
can
too
get
high.
scrapped.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. As a unit, obviously there have been just a vast array of the music that you've approached, but there is a consistency of undertone of a genre that you usually fall into. Almost every producer has its trademark sounds or genre.
Right.
How do you define your genre these days?
I just think it's a melting pot of dance music, really.
Yeah.
In the UK, there's so much influences from different cultures.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of Jamaicans came over to the UK in the 80s, right? So we have a lot of reggae influence, and that drum and bass was born out of that.
Yes.
And then so drum and bass was a big part of our sound as well, and then the UK garage came from that.
Yes.
And then house music, obviously, there's the Chicago house, and then there's the London house. And I guess we just draw on all of those things.
And even grime as well. Grime comes from the garage.
Yeah, you tinker around with that a little bit, definitely.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think we just try and draw across all of those things and all those influences, and as well the things that our parents grew up on, like the soul, Motown, that kind of stuff as well. But I guess there's always a dance element to what we do, which is the main sort of structure.
With the songs that you've created for SM and or any other artist, do you ever take the concept of their video or the tone of what they're going to be writing about into consideration?
Videos don't get done until
well after the fact.
Yeah. What we kind of like to do is when we get like a lead or an idea from one of the A&Rs or something, we always like to kind of create like a mood board.
Yes.
So I'll just go on Google and just look at so many different images, colours, print it, stick it on the computer in front of me, and then just create.
Or we watch a video.
A kind of cool technique we do is we'll make a beat and then we'll kind of go on YouTube and I'll just play a random video, like for example, I don't know, something like The Weeknd or something who's got a really creative kind of video.
Yes.
I'll mute the sound and play my beat
and play your beat to it. No shit, you all do that, I do that.
Just to get that kind of...
I do that.
Yeah, it gets you in the mood. Whatever
it's just like
Holy
different
crap.
kind of
Okay,
way
well, that was kind of
of
cool to
looking
know
at
other
it.
people do that. I'm like, this is probably extremely weird, but you never know. It could be a part of a score or
This is
anything.
it, yeah.
You never know. That is interesting.
And another thing is kind of like, I turn off the screen. Sometimes when you look at the arrangement, when you turn the screen off, you get a different mental approach to the song.
Yeah.
And sometimes that helps. There's so many different ways you can get inspiration from a song, and there's just so many ways.
You all were obviously inspired by what you did with Monster, just being able to break that down and having the fans give you our input on Twitter that was the one we wanted to hear.
That's cool.
Obviously, when you're doing producing, what you hear with normal ears is just the openness of music, but you all break down the actual little nooks and crannies of the songs and things. Is that something you do in post, like that's your mixing or mastering process, or is that a part of the creative while you're developing it? Do you start with a dry board and just build until it sounds what you're hearing?
Yeah, we normally just layer up each sound until it sounds full.
Yes.
And then, like I think Hayden touched on this yesterday, we normally have too much in there.
Always way too much.
Too many melodies, too many counter melodies, because before we always start with a track, usually before we have the vocal, unless we're writing from scratch. But most of the time, even with sessions, we always prepare a little vibe, at least.
Kind of an idea.
And then within that vibe, there's a lot of skips and a lot of sounds that sometimes get in the way of the vocal, so we'll mute them so we can hear a top line. And then afterwards, we'll put that back in if it works, and if it doesn't work, it gets cut.
Yeah.
So once the song's written, that's the main thing that needs to shine, and then everything else is just there to complement it.
Yeah.
Final question for you both. Anything that you're anticipating as a challenge for the remainder of the year in your production style or writing style? No one ever anticipates challenges. They're always like, oh, I'm open to the opportunity, but it might be a new thing.
I think the thing for us now is to just have the consistency.
Yes.
And obviously, we've done well up to this stage to deliver that. But it's just, that's the challenge now, because people are expecting big things and are expecting us to deliver singles and, be on these albums. And it's down to us to kind of deliver that. So we just got to stay focused and get our heads down. We skipped the concert last night, actually. We were going to go to it, but we
Are you going to attend tonight?
We're going to go tonight.
Right.
Yes.
But we were too inspired yesterday. We ended up back in the hotel. Both on our laptops, just like...
That's awesome. McWallas, I am so excited that you got to experience this. But if you really want to help, perhaps you should consider subtitling it. Let me know by leaving me a message. Bye, y'all.